It's June 21st, 2023. The people of Soyutlu, a small village in Azerbaijan, are protesting. They want to prevent the expansion of a local gold mine. A large mining company plans to build a highly toxic lake near their village. But the Soyutlu villagers have had enough. This isn't the first poisonous lake that the company has built near their homes. Just a couple hundred meters from the village, a cyanide-infested lake has been causing major health problems for over a decade. One of the protesters that day is an elderly lady. As she walks away from the demonstration, police officers blast her with tear gas. The video goes viral in Azerbaijan, and the 25-year-old Nargiz Absalamova, an investigative journalist, is sent to Soyutlu to cover the demonstrations. But authorities deploy around 300 police officers and quickly take control of the area surrounding the mine. The whole place is shut down. Together with several other journalists, Absalamova is beaten and arrested. Absalamova works for Abzas Media, one of the last independent media outlets in Azerbaijan. They are known for investigating corruption and human rights violations under President Ilham Aliyev's regime, and Aliyev does not like them. Several hours after publishing the coverage of the protests, Ulvi Hasanli, co-founder of Abzas Media, is arrested in the capital Baku. In the following months, 4 more journalists of Abzas Media are arrested.
He is a dictator within the borders of his country. He is a dictator of his nation.
Why is the Azerbaijani government so protective of this mine? How does its gold end up in our smartphones and other tech products? And what happened to the journalists of Abzas Media? This is Azerbaijani blood gold. To people familiar with the Azerbaijani president Ilham Aliyev, it should come as no surprise that he would go through great lengths to protect his wealth. He is widely seen as a dictator and removed term limits to remain in office indefinitely. He has used his position to enrich himself and his family through state-run oil and telecom companies. And this mine seems to be no exception. Much of his wealth is hidden through an elaborate network of offshore companies. And to underscore his clandestine reputation, he was named Corruption's Person of the Year in 2012. But to understand why his regime is so invested in this mine, we have to go back to August 1997, when his father was still in office. At that time, the British company Anglo-Asian Mining secured rights to develop 6 mineral-rich fields in southwestern Azerbaijan. In return, the Azerbaijani government would receive 12.75% of the minerals and a 49% stake in one of the companies operating the mines. The main shareholder of Anglo-Asian is the Iranian businessman Mohammad Reza Faziri. He was responsible for the product sharing agreement with Azerbaijan, and it's worth noting that he's been very close with Ilham Aliyev for years. One of the most promising fields was the Gedabek field, located next to the village of Soyutlu. Prospects for finding gold and other minerals like copper and silver were hopeful, and in 2008 the Gedabek mine was constructed. The people of Soyutlu were promised an economic boost as a result of this mine, and for a while the future did indeed look bright. In May 2009, the first findings of gold and silver were reported. Initial analysis estimated the presence of around 22 tons of gold, 192 tons of silver, and 37,000 tons of copper. In today's market, this would be worth a staggering $2 billion. Within a year after the opening of the mine, Azerbaijan was able to form its first gold reserves from the Gedabek mine. And by 2011, Anglo-Asian Mining was conducting extensive drilling campaigns. These results confirmed the mine's potential, and the company now aimed to extract around $120 million worth of minerals annually. Good news for Aliyev, whose regime profited directly, but for the people of Soyutlu, it was a different story. Instead of the economic boost they were promised, they faced severe health issues as a result of the mining activities and the use of cyanide. Cyanide is a highly toxic chemical that can be lethal even in small doses. It works by stopping cells from using oxygen, which can lead to rapid death when inhaled. The Gatabek mine uses a cyanide-based solution to separate gold from rock, which is common practice in the mining industry. However, the waste sludge is deposited into a huge artificial lake, located just 400 meters from the village of Soyutlu. Villagers have reported smelling the cyanide from their homes, along with a rise in health issues like respiratory diseases and even cancer. The lake was designed to accommodate waste until the end of 2023 and is now full. It is in danger of breaking and overflowing, which would cause major environmental damage. In anticipation of reaching the lake's capacity, its corners were dug out and it has been significantly enlarged over the last years. Journalists from the France 24 Observers team consulted 2 geologists. They explained that the excavation into the hillside could expose toxic materials to the underlying soil. This is very problematic because aside from the toxic fumes that arise from the lake, the lives of the Soyutlu villagers are deeply intertwined with agriculture. To find out exactly how toxic this lake is, members of environmental organization EcoFront attempted to collect water and soil samples from the reservoir, but they were also arrested and their samples were confiscated. But what happens with all the gold that is extracted from the Gatabek mine? According to the financial statements of Anglo-Asian Mining, all its gold is sent directly to Switzerland's MKS PAMP Group. MKS is one of the largest refineries in the world and supplies major tech companies. Journalists from Forbidden Stories, who picked up the investigation after the arrest of the Abzas journalists, were able to trace the gold back to companies like Apple, Tesla, HP, Samsung, and Microsoft, who use gold for electrical components in their products. This means that the blood gold from the Gatabek mine could be in your smartphone or computer. And this is all happening while MKS prides itself on using blockchain technology to ensure responsible sourcing. The company claims to strive for excellence in environmental practices. Beautiful words, but their actions tell a different story. Forbidden Stories asked them about the gold sourced from the Gatabek mine and the ecological and human rights abuses in Soyutlu. MKS told them they take environmental responsibility extremely seriously. However, they also indicated that they would continue their partnership with Anglo-Asian Mining. Fortunately, there are also companies who have put their money where their mouth is and have ended business relationships with Anglo-Asian Mining even before the demonstrations occurred. Argor Heraeus, which refined 10% of the mine's gold in 2020 and 2021, terminated its partnership due to Anglo-Asian Mining's failure to respond to regular updates required by their Know Your Customer process. When Forbidden Stories reached out to the tech giants that use the Gatabek gold, Microsoft merely referred to their corporate responsibility policies, while Apple, HP, and Tesla did not respond to the inquiries at all. Remarkable, given their firm stances on responsible supply chains. As of right now, all 6 journalists of Abzas Media are still in custody. They are being charged with unlawfully smuggling foreign currency into the country and could face up to 8 years in prison. However, the real reason of their arrest is their critique on Aliyev and exposing his corrupt regime. The coverage of the mine is just one example in a series of stories they did on him. Sadly, it is no surprise that they were imprisoned. Azerbaijan is one of the worst countries in the world when it comes to press freedom. They currently rank 164 out of 180 countries, and they are comparable to Russia and China. The index describes Aliyev as someone who, quote, has waged a merciless war against any remaining critics. I was able to speak to Leyla, the current editor-in-chief of Abzas Media, who took over after her colleagues were arrested, and they are currently operating from Germany to be able to continue their work.
They shouldn't be inside in jail right now. They had to be in freedom and continue there. The number of political prisoners has reached already 300.
When I asked Leyla about the odds of her colleagues being convicted, she unfortunately told me that it is very likely that they will be sentenced. sentenced. As a matter of fact, additional charges are being fabricated that could even increase their sentences.
My worries is about the future of the country, because if people can't get a proper information, they can't give proper decisions.
Even though Leyla is now operating Abzas Media from Germany, she is still at risk, but that does not keep her from doing her job.
It was also a message to the authorities, to the government of Azerbaijan, that whomever you arrest inside the country, doesn't matter, we will continue their works.
After the protests against the construction of the second lake, an environmental audit was conducted, which initially led to the suspension of production at the mine. This pause resulted in the company suffering a financial loss of $32 million for the year, a huge contrast to the multi-million-dollar profits recorded in previous years. However, Anglo-Asian Mining has now reopened the mine and stated that a new toxics analysis absolved the company of any breaches in contamination regulations. But it should come as no surprise that the Anglo-Asian Mining Company and the Azerbaijani government refused to disclose the test results. For now, the company has dropped its plans to build a second reservoir. Instead, they now plan to continue expanding the existing, highly toxic lake even further. And what about the villagers of Soyutlu?
Unfortunately, the village is still kept under police control. There is a police patrol in the entrance of the village. So there is no access to check the situation that how is going on there right now. It is impossible.
In November, Aliyev is receiving leaders from all over the world as he is going to host the COP29, the United Nations Climate Change Conference.
It is one of the most important international events, related to ecology, to climate, but a village is kept like a hostage and their rights are violated through the gold mining.
How is it possible that such a man is able to host important events like this? In anticipation of COP29, Leyla from Abzas Media urges everyone to spread the word about the situation in her country.
Just try to write about it, try to share a lot about it, just to make sure that the world hears our voices as well.
And as also mentioned in the description, all journalistic efforts go to Abzas Media, Forbidden Stories, and the France 24 Observers team. I did not come up with this story, I just thought their amazing journalistic efforts deserved a good video. In any case, please like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video, and as always, I really hope to see you in the next one.